I did a lot of congratulations, or I'm sorry that happened to you on some of those big blocks of text. It's no big deal. I'm here for the vibes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Drop In, Drop Out, the weekly podcast where a mix of 7 gamers come together for an open and engaging conversation all about Sword of the Sea. Today, we're jumping in and reviewing Sword of the Sea, and I'm very excited to do so. It is August 21st, so this game has only been out for 48 hours, but we're deep, we're very involved, and we wanted to have a conversation that was a little bit different than most of the conversations happening about this game. We want to not only review Sword of the Sea today and talk about, spoiler alert, how much we love it, but we also wanted to take a look back at the history of Giant Squid and Thatgamecompany and talk a lot about the games that came before from this combination of teams. Really, really exciting stuff. Worth noting here at the top before I say hi to my lovely panel that this is somewhat of a part 1 of 2. This is our weekly podcast. This is completely spoiler free for Sword of the Sea. Don't worry if you haven't played it. Don't worry if you're halfway through. We wanted to make that very simple for you. We're not going to have a point in this podcast where we cut off and say spoilers start now. That is going to be a completely separate podcast. We're going to record it live here right after this, but it'll be separate in the podcast feeds. It'll be separate on YouTube, so go seek that out if you so desire. Enough of all that housekeeping. Jerica, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. You said let's drop in, and I feel like that was a good little joke, like, oh, we're dropping into the sands of the sea, but there's no joke there. It just sort of lands flat. Except
No,
in
it's
this
pretty
game,
good.
you can't land flat because you can't fall and hurt yourself, which I
That's
appreciate.
true. I was thinking about
Hate. We'll get to it later.
We kind of nailed the Drop In Drop Out is such a good fucking name for that reason. Like, so many times it comes up. It reminds me a lot of, like, not to toot my own horn here, Amazing Streamer. I hear people say Amazing Streamer all the time, and I'm like, God, that was such a fucking good purchase on my end. People say Drop In, Drop Out multiplayer all the time, and I'm like, fucking free advertising. I think MinMax did a good job with that as well. People talk about min-maxing stats, and they must get a little jolly every single time. Enough
It's
about
almost
me
as
talking.
if if we kind of picked the name on purpose.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Would you look at
I
this
did
guy?
overhear someone say in line at the bank, like, oh my God, this amazing streamer. And I'm like, who are you watching, Jake? And they're like, no, it's not Jake. I was like, okay, it must be another amazing streamer.
It is crazy.
It worked.
Crazy. Oh yeah. You heard the disembodied voice of P Schwag. He is our live producer making it happen on the 1s and 2s on OBS. And then last but certainly not least, I'm joined by Kayla. Kayla, welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Fresh off of playing Sword of the Sea, but also Tiny Bookshop, which I'm obsessed with right now.
Yes.
But otherwise good. My sleep schedule is going through it right now, but other than that, I'm very excited to be here with you guys about all the fun
I feel
things.
like if your sleep schedule is fucked up, we are more in sync than we've ever been, because that is
Is that
my
a-
standard operating procedure.
Is that a sign of the recession if my sleep schedule's messed up?
I think so. Yeah, things are going very poorly. Very poorly. We're joined, of course, by our lovely live chat. I see a bunch of incredible names already here. High Score Weekly holding down the fort as usual. Sirius Shard. We have Noah. We have Control. We have our very own Sickly Cognitive Clips and Eula. Welcome in, everybody. Glad to be joined by you. I would love to know in the chat give me a little one if you're playing or have played Sword of the Sea. Who's going to know what's going on in this conversation? And I want to get some like base coat stuff down with my guests here, my co-hosts, Kayla and Jerica, as far as their history with not only Sword of the Sea, but with Thatgamecompany and with Giant Squid. So I'm going to go Wikipedia style from the top and ask you guys which ones you have played. Not worried about if you've rolled credits. People do that on like a one-off scenario. But Thatgamecompany starts off with a game called Flow for the PlayStation. Have either of you guys played that?
Yeah, and I did not know what I was getting myself into when I played it. It's been when did that come out? How long ago has it been?
I think it's a PS3 game, if I recall correctly.
Okay. It was like utilizing the controller, like one of the first games to like, because you like tilt it and use it, and I could be wrong, like really showcasing that technology, and they've leaned into that since. Like with a lot of
For
these
sure.
games.
It's 2006, launched on PS3, available on PS4, PS5, and Vita. Yep.
I have
Okay.
not. Yeah, I have
There-
not.
You
It's a
should
weird little game.
you should do drugs and then play it.
I agree.
Oh, that
We'll
we're
talk
onto
more
something.
about it for sure. What about Flower, the follow-up to Flow?
Yes.
Jerica, did you check that one out too?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I'm pretty fresh, but
All
I
right,
want your recommendations.
Kayla, you're in on the next one though. I know that. Journey?
Yeah. Yes, I have. Absolutely.
Hell yes. And Jerica, you're
Good
on
time.
Journey, yes?
Yes.
Very good. And then we'll talk a little bit about Sky, which is a really interesting one. I don't know if either of you guys have played that, and it's not too important to me if you guys have played that because I've only played it for a little while as well. It's not my favorite game in the entire repertoire here. And we'll talk a little bit about the history of that game company and what happens to make Giant Squid, because Giant Squid, of course, bursts onto the scene with Abzu. Where are you guys at on that one? Kayla, have you checked that one out?
Have downloaded it, but I have
Okay.
not played it because I feel like I saw it on sale in the obviously like the big thing we'll talk about later with these games is the visuals, and the visuals really
Yes.
appealed to me just from like what I had seen. But I have not yet played it, so I'm very curious to hear y'all's thoughts about what you think of like all of them, especially compared to Sword of the Sea and how that falls. But I have not played that.
Yeah, for sure. And then Jerica, you are in on Abzu, is that correct?
Yes. I haven't beaten it. I
Okay.
don't know how that one wraps up, but I
Gotcha.
know thanks to the internet because I was just curious. I don't have time. I was wanting to beat it too, and I was like, let me go back to this, but
Me
I
too.
didn't get to it.
Hell yeah. And
Yeah.
then the Pathless is the last one, which by the way, I'm a yes on everything so far. And I'm a yes on the Pathless as of 2 days ago, because for the first time I was like, let me just knock this out and get a little bit of it under my belt so that I have something to speak to before I jump into Sword of the Sea. I'm very glad that I did, but I have not completed that game. Have either of you guys ever jumped into it?
I almost downloaded today because I beat Sword of the Sea, and I was like, okay, now I want to play the Pathless, but it's still $40 on PlayStation. I was like,
I
ooh,
know.
what the hell? So I'll find it somewhere else and play. But
Yeah. Currently
Ugh.
$14 on Xbox, not on sale on the other one. It was $10 for the Nintendo Switch for a little while there, but I can't be playing that on Nintendo Switch, man.
yeah, yeah.
That was another one where I was tempted because I really wanted to try to get to some of them before this episode, but two things. One, it is $40 on Steam, which is
I
crazy.
know.
And
Mhm.
two, sick friend Cog, member of the show, RIP, gone too soon. He not really, just kidding. But he played it, and I think from what I saw, he said he wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Correct us if we're wrong, Cog, but that kind of turned me off from it a little
Didn't
bit.
realize it's
I
also
don't
on
recommend the
iOS
Pathless.
and maybe Android too, but you can play this on your iPhone, so that's pretty cool.
Ooh,
I don't know if
okay,
that
okay.
Yeah.
adds the experience or on your iPad. I'm not really a big I have to have a controller if I'm playing on any mobile device still. I don't like using my thumbs on a screen and it's just slipping
Oh,
and
the worst.
sliding. Ugh.
Mhm.
But that's cool.
Yeah. The Pathless is a really interesting one, and we'll get there. I am a little bit just kind of letting the base code here because I think the best way to start this podcast is to now ignore the existence of all of those games except for when they come up. We'll focus on them a little bit later, and let's just jump into a review conversation about Sword of the Sea. Right off the jump, I want to dish it over to Kayla, and you're a couple hours into this game. Talk to me about your first impression playing Sword of the Sea.
Yeah, so I would say like my historical knowledge of this company is slim, but my experience with this type of game is a little bit more vast. Like when I see this, and again, I don't know the exact term I would use for the genre, but like I love a game like this where I can be just completely immersed with the like narrative direction, with the art direction, with the music. I have my like surround sound headset on, and just I can like just zone out and really enjoy the game. And I do think like something it makes me think of like games like Cog, please forgive me. I might butcher this. But games like Neva and Greece, is it Greece?
Mhm.
I would say are kind of like similar in a way where they do have like a story that you are following. However, that's not necessarily the main purpose of like what you're going through and like what you're experiencing. So my first impression when I booted it up, that opening scene that you see like at the very beginning, my jaw was like dropped. I was like, whoa, like this is like really beautiful and very like immersive. So first impressions were very strong. I do hate that I'm the only person that has not beat this, and it's very unfortunate. But
okay.
I can't wait to continue to talk about it because it's blown my socks off. So
Yeah, for sure. Very good. Jerica, same question to you. Just initial impressions jumping in there.
I've played a few of these games, so I sort of knew what to expect and what I was going to get out of it. But I was pleasantly surprised with like how quickly like you're sort of thrown into the action and not really they give you like a quick tutorial and I don't really remember like how in depth if there even was a tutorial in the past games I've played, but the fact that you just get a few commands in there and then immediately you're like introduced to this vast ocean of sand was incredible. Like I knew I was going to get awesome music, incredible visuals, and yeah, like I, at least before getting in, I'm like, okay, this is really pretty, but does it play well? So that was my initial like impression of like, oh shit, this is gonna be a literal journey without making a pun about the other games, but no, it's so pretty. Like this game is just jaw dropping. I'm playing on PS5 Pro. HDR is top notch. Colors pop, and I'll get to the DualSense stuff later. But man, it's cool. It's really cool.
Hell yeah. I will echo that sentiment quite a bit, but I was just thinking about how there's secretly a fourth member of this podcast, and I hope he doesn't mind me calling on him a little bit. Will you, P-Swag, give us the rundown real quick on your history with the That Game Company and Giant Squid Games?
Yes, I would love to. Thanks for asking. I have played every game that they've made except Sky, in between both of them. And Journey was the first one I played back in 2012, and that it was one of those things where, back when it was only being nominated for best downloadable video game because that's where the industry was, and it was like a religious experience the first time playing through Journey. And then I went back and played Flower and Flow, and I was like, I liked Flower a lot more than Flow, but
Yeah.
it was just like, it was pretty. It was like, back in the day when physics could only do so much, it was like, oh, okay, sure. And then I remember I was always yearning for the next thing after Journey, and so when Abzu was released, I was very hyped for that. And Abzu just never hit for me like that. I didn't dislike Abzu, but something about like just the way it felt. It was a lot. I think it's one of their clunkier feeling games,
Sure.
with the swimming of it all. And then Pathless, I thought felt good. I just thought it was boring. So I didn't finish Pathless. I put just a couple hours into Pathless, and yeah, I'm about 35 minutes from beating Sword of the Sea for a second time. So
Wow. Impressive, running it back.
Yeah.
I never do that.
Me either.
I don't think there's been a time.
I had to.
Has anybody here ever done that before? Like,
Yes.
have you ever beat a
Yeah.
game and then just immediately the same night you just started up again?
Yeah.
Can you guess what mine
I've never-
is?
Not many. Not many. I could probably count on one hand, like for real. Cause like I'm not a big like rewatcher of movies. I can see it once
Right.
and I don't need like it actually turns me off to watch it again. I'm like, ugh, I've already
Sure.
seen it. Why would I do that? But like there's a few games that I have. This one was one of them that I almost started if I didn't have to go to bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I started my other playthrough earlier today because I finished it right before bed last night. But very, very high on Sword of the Sea for me.
Hell yes. Wait, Kayla, which game did you go back to?
Huh.
The Last of Us Part 2. Yeah.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have
And
thought?
then
Much
also
like,
Titanfall.
oh, very good. I was gonna say cyclical gameplay, much like a story of cyclical revenge.
Wow.
My thoughts on Sword of the Sea is that this game is extremely special right off the jump. My first impression jumping in there was I had very lofty expectations. As somebody with a history for these games, I think I'm hotter on Abzu than most of you guys are. Journey is in my top 20 games of all time, which doesn't sound that prestigious, but it really is when my top games of all time list is more than 200 entries long. I knew that this game was going to be for me, but I didn't realize how visually striking it was going to be compared to Journey, a game that I've revisited a half dozen times since playing it. And I didn't realize how much faster paced and how tight the controls were going to feel compared, because I knew that we were going to be surfing around and whatnot, but I guess for my first impression, right, getting in there, they're really good about getting you directly into like gameplay. Like as soon as you're there, tilt that fucking control stick and you are going. And this game doesn't have like a press X to go faster or R2 to accelerate. You point in the direction and your little dude is off.
Yes, I've noticed
And
that.
immediately you've got to jump, and I'm like, oh nice, maybe a double jump. Yup, we got a double jump, and it's got this satisfying little ding every time you do the double jump, which might be one of my favorite mechanics of the year. Just like that little sound and that little flourish that it has right when you get to that second jump, the little pep in your step in the air. But immediately I was smitten with this game and how it felt to play, because I think a lot of their predecessors ride on the back of like vibes, right?
It
Journey
does.
isn't
Yep.
a very tight game to control. A lot of times I kind of feel like I'm just like pushing in the control stick in a direction, in a general direction, and it kind of goes that way. And sometimes it veers off to the side. It doesn't feel as easy to
It's
control.
almost
And
like
like
not
Peach,
lazy controls, but like it's definitely just really relaxed and not
Yeah.
as reactive. This has been the
I
most reactive game I've ever played from them, and I think that was a big
yeah.
selling point for me.
for sure.
As someone who just all I've played is Journey, but I did come immediately from like I played Journey and then I immediately turned around and played Sword of the Sea. While I did see a lot of commonalities, I would agree that like in Journey it feels kind of like you're a little bit more aimless, whereas like with Sword of the Sea I feel like you have a purpose. Like even when you're just like vibing around, like it feels very like intentional.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree completely. It is really really impressive. Like you guys are saying, and just echoing it a little more, is like when you turn left, when you're kind of like you have like your downhill momentum, you're kind of sliding in Journey. It's like you're indicating to your character you'd like it to go left, and it kind of goes left in a way. Whereas this, when you control your control stick and you point it left, it goes in the exact direction that you were hoping it would go. It's very impressive. Not even by like normal video game standards, but I guess there's some disconnect in my head of like it shouldn't feel this good if it looks this good, because in the past it hasn't, which immediately put it on to a level that I was really really not expecting. So I asked you guys for your first impressions on the game, and now Kayla, I know you haven't rolled credits. Myself and Jerica have rolled credits. Is this game perfect? I'm not asking for your number yet. I'm not asking for your number. But I'm gonna give mine away because it's a fucking 10 out of 10 for me. I think this is a perfect video
Oh.
game. I think it's a
It,
perfect video game.
someone play the clip of Jake saying it's game of the year. Go now.
And
It's
the
not my
perfect
game of the
game.
year. I just think it's perfect.
I don't think it's perfect. It's really
Okay.
close, and I'm really proud of the game they've made. Like, I am so glad they, like, decided to make a game that's a little bit more action driven, where I am always on my toes, and I actually tweeted this yesterday, but, like, just the fact that I never could get comfortable, and, like, there was times it starts to speed up as you're progressing through the game, especially when you're getting to in-game content, but for a minute there, I felt like I wasn't. It's taken me a long time to get these new tricks. Am I gonna get any other abilities? But as you progress, like, it sort of rewards you and you get more ways of having to traverse and solve the next platforming puzzle. And I like that it keeps me on my toes so much and I am in control so much. So I love that they did that, but there are still a few critiques I wish I could have seen here. And my first, and this sounds crazy because I'm always complaining about games being too long, but I needed this to be a little bit longer. It's just a smidge too short, and why can't they just make it a little bit longer? Just a smidge to me.
Love a
Like,
short
I want it to
game.
be longer.
Yeah. I get wanting to stay in that world. Kayla, do you have anything jumping out at you? I guess the best way to kind of to take this is there anything that you see being a hindrance to a perfect score so far?
Yes, but I don't think it's the game's fault. It's like my personal preference with games. And I'll explain by saying, like, any type of game where I am like on a vehicle of some sort, I have a hard time a little bit. But I will say that this game does eliminate a lot of barriers with that. Like, I have a hard time driving anything in a game, a car, a boat, a skateboard, a surfboard, like anything where I'm like traveling on
Surfboard.
something. Is surfboard mentioned? I knew you would do that at least at one point. Um, but yeah, so that is the only thing that's holding me back. Like, and I get it, like it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, the whole game is built around this, right? But like it does make it for me like I think I over analyze sometimes. Like I'm very much like if there's a line of coins, I have to get every single. Like, it's just, like, how my brain works.
Right.
So, a couple of the first things where you're learning how to play the game still, but I'm very, like, perfectionist about it. I was like, "No, I have to get every single coin." So I'd have to go back up and then go down. I do think the game's very forgiving with that, though. Like, because it does feel so effortless to, like, glide around and
Mm.
very much, like, user-friendly in that way. I think that's what keeps it from being, like, perfect to me. It's just, like, that's not necessarily something that I like, deem as, like, something that I love in games, but this might be changing it for me. I don't know. Yeah, hopefully my non-vehicle people resonate with me in the chat.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
I think
Jake.
that's a very reasonable take. Yeah.
Let me bring in some chats.
love
Noah earlier in the chat said, the game being perfect but not being goaty implies another game you think of as perfect this year, question mark. My guess is DK Bonanza for you.
Do I think DK Bonanza is perfect? Yeah. That's
So
perfect.
is
That's
that,
a
is that
perfect
your
video
is that
game.
your game of the year right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
This
Expedition
is probably
33?
my no, Expedition 33 is not on that list, surprisingly. I think right now I was actually talking earlier about this year's game of the year race, and for me, I was so surprised when I rolled credits on this about how much I loved this game, where I can't think of a recent time and like a time in recent memory where my top 3 were so much more beloved in my head than 4 through 10, if that makes sense. Like, there is a massive, usually I have a game that I love more than all other games. And that game, if I had to pick one, is Donkey Kong Bonanza this year. But this game and Blueprints both give Donkey Kong a run for its money. And I think that I think all 3 of those games are 10 out of 10 perfect video games for what they're doing. And then my 4th favorite game is like Avowed, and I think it's a solid 8.5. And I love it,
Sure.
and I think it's a great game, and it'll be one of my favorite games that I played this year, and it'll work its way into my top 200 games of all time. But that is a steep drop off, I feel like, between those 3 games and every other game. Whereas in the past, it was like I would say it was God of War Ragnarok, and nothing was holding a fucking torch to that, that kind of thing. Whereas, I don't know. This is a pretty solid year, surprisingly.
Another question.
Don't worry, we'll
this
save
is
that for the Dido Game of the Year episode.
Ooh, yeah, there we go. That 5.5-hour podcast. Another question from the chat, although this one is actually from the Discord. If you join our Discord at dropindropoutpod.com, we ask questions each week. And Coalmine sent in a question. Do any of you plan to 100% it, or are you just strictly going with the flow?
Flow. Do either of you girls want to take that question? Either of you guys plan on doing it?
No, let's be honest. I got too many other things to play.
Based.
One
Kayla?
that
I
I
think-
want to go back to. Sorry, I just keep talking, but I wanted to like
No, that's
preface
okay.
with saying like the urge is really strong to go and see if I can complete that, but I just don't have the time. But the urge is there, so I'd say it's worth that time if you really dig it.
I think for me, it depends on how I feel after I roll credits. I think that will determine like if I'm craving more. If I feel like Jerica and I wish it to be longer, I might see myself going back in and trying to 100% it. But that is not something I typically do with games. I'm really rarely do I do that. So more than likely, no. What about you, Jake?
No. I think especially this kind of game, I don't really like revisiting games in general. I've never had a situation where I beat a game and I was like, time to do that again. I'm like, all right, we're good. Even if I love it as much as I love something like this, I also know that like from my subsequent playthroughs of Journey that I don't really enjoy doing everything that Journey has to offer, much like Blueprints, not to make this that personal of a story or to go back to my game of the year list too much here, but like I find Blueprints to be a 10 out of 10 because of my individual experience with that game being perfect. and
Yeah.
possibly quitting while I was ahead, because I think a lot of people chalk up their experience to that game being a little less than stellar because of some RNG woes and perhaps spending too much time in it, arguably. It didn't have a chance to rear its ugly head at me. I had no idea that this was like a fucking issue. By the time I rolled credits, I was at a tight 25 hours on day 21. Everything that I did was important. I learned stuff every time. I progressed at a normal pace. I rolled credits. I fucking gave it a thumbs up and I moved on to the next game. So
That's a really good point, actually. Like, maybe spending too much time in a game can be almost detrimental to the experience, depending on
For
like,
sure.
what it is and what type of gameplay it is. It's very interesting.
yeah, for sure.
Patrick was
I
summoned.
see. Oh, Patrick, go ahead.
Me?
Well, yeah.
What am I being asked something?
Would you
I'm
100%
confused. Oh,
this game?
oh yes, I might. It's very. I think I am. The only thing that would keep me from it is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. If I don't 100% it by the time that game comes out, then I won't. But
Sure.
I have the momentum right now to 100% this game, so I think it's very possible.
No, yeah.
Hell yes. I see Dan Goodshow in the chat with the big sub absolute icon. And then I see Noah saying Jake didn't even read the dialogue the first time. Fuck 100%, which is actually very true. I did a lot of congratulations, or I'm sorry that happened to you, on some of those big blocks of text. It's no big deal. I'm here for the vibes.
Yeah,
Don't even
that's
worry
fair.
about it. Okay. This question specifically, again, we're spoiler free this whole time. We're not going to get into any spoilers. We're not going to make this experience bad for anyone who hasn't enjoyed it all the way through, like Kayla or any of our listeners. But I do want to talk about the game as like a total package, and I want to talk about like opinions on the ending a little bit with Jerica here and P-Swag, if you'd like to pop in. You're more than welcome to as well. How do you feel about the conclusion of this game? Were you hot on it? Did it stick its landing for you? Because for me, it very much did. But I think that without going too far, I think that it resonates for me more because of my history with the entire, well, I don't want to call it franchise, but I guess like the history of the two studios, like all the way back to Flow, Flower, Journey, no, not Sky, Abzu, and the Pathless.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one to answer without getting too deep, but like I think the theme is definitely there with all of these games, and I didn't expect to have all the answers revealed because it's not about that. It's about the opinion and your emotions that you have playing it. Because I think a lot of, and I can't wait to get into this with y'all, but like my interpretation of what has happened will probably be different than each of you. And I maybe all of ours
Mhm.
are different, but I was thinking about in the shower this morning, and that's where, I'm like everyone says shower thoughts, but I have the best thoughts in the shower at like 6 a.m. in the morning, just thinking. And this is the game that landed or got the braid rented out this morning in the shower.
Yeah.
So, and I thought about something that I can't wait to see if y'all sort of align with, but I think that's what
Ooh.
makes this game so special is that we can probably take different types of I don't know. What do you think that meant? And what do
Right.
you think
Sure.
about the journey as a whole? So it's good.
Yeah.
I like the speed up to the end was really exhilarating to me. I did not expect
agree.
a few of those turns.
For sure.
Glide in to the end.
Kayla, what you got over there?
One thing I was gonna say before we get too deep into you guys' thoughts on the end, High Score Weekly did say, does anyone on the panel think it might be too Journey adjacent or too much like Journey?
Oh, excellent question. No, I fucking hate when a game is really good and they do something completely different as like a follow up. And this is not a perfect example because these games are not like the same franchise. It's just from the same company, but they all have the same vibes and shit like that. But like
Yeah.
my example that I always give is like how excited I was for quote unquote Mario 128, which is a game that they showed as a direct sequel to Mario 64 back when the GameCube was announced. and it showed Mario with no fucking water jetpack on, running around a futuristic looking world that just looked like an improved version of Mario 64. And to me, in my head, I was like, oh yeah, give it to me, more Mario 64, but better and more of it and prettier, and the whole 9 yards. And then they were like, by the way, that game doesn't exist anymore. We made it Mario Sunshine, and we strapped annoying ass FLUDD to your back, and now it's all about shooting goop out of here. And I'm like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. So I went in there like, ugh, I don't know. So when I think about the Abzu, I was very satisfied with where that game went, just because it was so journey pilled, if you will, although a little weird. You're in water. It's almost a Mario Sunshine like. And then you also have the Pathless, which for me, the Pathless goes in such a different direction, interestingly enough, and does a lot of things that I wish that it wouldn't from that company. Although it does some things really well, and I can see a lot of the Pathless, the lessons learned in the Pathless, even just based off of the first hour of it, here present in Sword of the Sea, which is a long-winded way of answering the question. I don't think it's too much like Journey. I'm happy it's so much like Journey. Jericho, where are you at on that?
I agree. I don't see it. I see there's a DNA to this to Giant Squid and like what they do and what the kind of stories they want to tell, what kind of games they want to make. And I think back to the point, maybe I don't want to sound like I'm being a butthole here, saying it's not the perfect game. I don't think the studio needs to make the perfect game. They make their game every time, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to be cheesy, but like, I don't think for them to your point, like I don't need them to like reinvent the wheel. I want to keep that DNA because that's what makes their game so good. It's like to the point we're about to talk about spoilers, like the story and where it resonates with people is what matters. And I just the added bonus that the gameplay in this one specifically feels so good. Like, I mean, Journey, I feel like, yeah, it was this monumental game that incorporated multiplayer without speaking. And that was just so freaking cool to everybody at the time. And it still is a very cool thing that could happen. Um, but like, I don't know. I like having more engaging gameplay. And I think that just small thing for them to do is a smart move. But like moving away from their weird visuals, it's not weird. I think it's cool. I know Kojima's probably a fan seeing whales in the sky. And like, I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, when I hopped in Sword of the Sea, I was like, oh, there's more fish. Like Abzu. And I was like, okay, cool. This is a thing. This is a theme. They like this. Is this the same world? I don't know. No, probably not. It's just they like fish. And it looks cool seeing fish fly around. So I think it's dope. Like it was way different enough for sure.
I agree. Yeah, a lot of spiritual successor vibes. Peachwag, I wanted to get your opinion as well on the ending from before. So hit both of these if you want.
Yeah. I think the ending for me, I saw Cog in the Discord earlier somewhere. This game has been talked about in so many places. This, I think, at a glance, is the easiest to digest story-wise, even though I'm still a little unclear, as is he, on like what the exact beats are. But I'm clear enough. And I think for the ending specifically, I did feel like it came a bit too soon. Premature might be the word you can use there, Jake, but I feel like I still liked the ending and I still feel like it ultimately served its purpose. But I did, when credits rolled, I did have like a beat of like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that to be the very end. And like in hindsight, sure, it makes sense that it's the very end, but I would have liked a little bit more, which I think is also a reason why this game doesn't hit perfect for me either. I'm landing in the like 9.95 range-ish.
Pretty close.
And yeah, and then on the Journey question, I almost thought for thought align with Jake. I think my biggest criticism with every game that they have done, whether it's Thatgamecompany or Giant Squid since Journey, is that they just didn't ever, for me, get back to that Journey magic, and this one does. And so I am thrilled that this game feels as much as Journey as it does, but it feels like 2025 Journey, where like if Journey was made today, it would not have been as slow as it was. It served its time in 2012 and it works now still. But I think if that game was made today, there would not be anything slow about Journey in 2025. And like it's the kind of thing, it's like where do they go from here? Because it feels so perfect in Sword of the Sea. Like what do you improve upon with the way that this game feels with its locomotion?
I could tell you. There's
Tell
like
me.
I
a few
have the
things they're
answer as
missing.
well.
I think
a
that
few
there's
things.
there's something really interesting about a company or a developer that has a very specific artistic style and approach to gaming, that it's like how, especially if you're like a super fan of what they do, like how much would you like to see them kind of like step out of their comfort zone and do something different versus wanting them to kind of stay in their wheelhouse and produce the same kind of content that you've liked for so long. Like, because I could, while I don't have that kind of history with this specific developer, like I can definitely see that with like other developers that I really like. Like, for example, like Naughty Dog doing something completely different with like Intergalactic whenever that comes out. But like, would I rather them have a Last of Us game? Maybe. But how excited am I to have this like different experience that is like unrelated kind of? So I get that. For
Listen,
sure.
this is probably a conversation that is better suited for the spoiler cast about
Yeah.
where they go from here, because I think contextually there might be some stuff that we can talk about that we won't be talking about here, which is another pitch to, if you're watching live, stay after, because we're doing a separate spoiler cast. And if you're listening to this on podcast or YouTube feeds, make sure you find the second half, if you will, of this podcast, because I have some fucking crackpot theories that I can't wait to share with each and every one of you. I do want to take a trip down memory lane, but before we do that, I want to just go around the horn and get those final scores from everybody. So I'm locked into 10 out of 10. I believe this is a perfect game. I have no notes for it, which to me implies perfect. Jerica, where are you giving it?
9 out of 10.
9?
Ooh.
Very fair. Kayla?
As of right now, where I sit, I'm giving it an 8.5.
8.5. P Schwag.
But again,
I go back and forth between the 9 and 9.5, so I think I'm going to choose positivity and say this is a 9.5 for me. Book it.
Do you think this will end up being drop-in dropouts game of the year?
No.
No.
What do you think drop-in dropouts game of the year is going to be?
I think it is going to be a very tight race between Expedition 33. I think there are enough. No, I do. I think it's going to be high on Kayla's, Jerica's, Cogs, maybe Maury's. Like it's going to have the numbers. I think Blueprints maybe has a chance depending on where it lands on a couple. I think it's going to be mine and Jake's 1 or 2, and then Bonanza I think is also going to be super high for people. I don't know that
Sure.
there's anything coming out the rest of the year that has a chance really, other than maybe Yote. That's like the only one that I think maybe has a chance to squeak its way in. But
What
I
about
think-
Silk Song? Are we considering that anyone in this group? The world seems to think it's coming for
Silk
Expedition
Song is
33.
going to be... Silk Song is lucky if it gets an 8.5.
whoa. In
I don't
general, or
think
from
enough
you?
people are going to play it and in our company for it to be top of the list.
Now, I'll be playing it on day one. You can
course you
guarantee
will.
that.
Oh,
That sweet content. You gotta
I'm
get
gonna
it.
tune in
You
too
gotta.
because I want to see it.
Also, if I may, Cog had sent in a review. I'm just going to read the chunk that is the score. He says, overall, this is an easy 9.5 out of 10. The only things holding it back for me are some mild frustrations with movement and maneuvering. You will be hearing me talk about this game during Best of 2025 discussions, guaranteed. So that's a little tease for that question.
I bet.
Ooh, a little sprinkle.
I bet. Maybe am I moving away from this game too much, because I do want to go through the memories here of that game company, but now I'm realizing that we're maybe doing a little bit of a disservice to not focus on some of like the movement tech and how that feels like in the world. And like I know we kind of brushed on like the haptic feedback and stuff.
Oh,
Maybe
we never
should-
talked about. We have to talk about haptic
It's
feedback.
so good.
Jerica's a big
Yeah.
advocate
Listen.
for this, so I would
That was
love to
like
hear.
my first. Out of everything, that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, oh shit, they are utilizing DualSense in the best way, which they are known to utilize PlayStation hardware very well, and I think it speaks to this controller and the fact that no one's using it like they could, and it makes me mad. But to your point, Jake, when you were saying you heard, like, I usually turn down the controller sound, like even more if it's like going off and chirping, doing too much. I'm like, oh, stop, y'all. Let me turn that down. But in this game, I turned it up. And because like any trick that you did, like jumping, that little sound effect, bling, like it sounded so good. And then anytime you would like roll over, gravel or any of like even when you're turning, the vibration is different, like going left or veering left or right. Like you feel the difference in your hands, and like God, with the tight controls, like it feels so much fun to play. And that's where some of my disappointment lies, is where God, I want to do more in this world other than just go over hills. Like I want to get some air somehow. And I'm like, why are we not getting air here? Like you can do it a little bit, but I think that's
I
part of the
agree.
we
game
got
too.
air.
You can
Well,
get
I feel
air,
like
but you
could
don't
get more.
listen. But hold, give me just a second.
give her a
Like in the
second. Let her,
first
let her
two
cook.
big areas, you don't really do that. Like there is a
Sure.
space later on that I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna spend way too long here. It's the snowy peak, the snowy area. I was like, oh, this is fun. This is fun. These like obstacles in the sky, like this is cool. I think I wanted more of that at the get-go, like which figuring out how to traverse upward was fun. But I don't know, like I just want to give me a playground that's a little bit more just like, I think for players jumping in the first time, I think getting a little bit more of that fun and like just going up and down the dunes, like getting some air would have been a little bit better. What's that video with the surfing guy and the ladies interviewing him, like real life? He's like, "Well, I'm gonna go down and just blah," and I'm
Oh,
like, "Yo, bow." I needed more surfing.
sure.
I'm really butchering that interview, if you know what I'm talking about. But like, I
It's a
wanted
great
to be able to
reference.
like I don't know, like a momentum based. I know I'm getting off here. Just give me a second. I know I was talking about the controllers and feedback, which are incredible, but like
Getting
I need
off.
more. Remind me for later. Something I'd fix about this game. I need momentum. I don't
Sure.
feel like I had a lot of momentum, and I felt like I should, especially when you get that ability to go straight down. It don't really help my speed. And I'm like, ooh, I really wanted that. Maybe I just suck at riding a sword. So maybe I'll learn
May
something
I
tonight. But I was like, dang.
may I speak?
There's a joke there.
I think I hear the criticism fully and I accept it, and I'm not going to say you're wrong. But I do think that they are very intentional, that it's a slow build, which is a little silly because it's a 3-hour game. But by the time you reach the end of the game, and if you want to start a new game plus, you have all of those tools at your disposal from the beginning. So going around the first area, the first like sea sandy place, with the ability to get boost and hold the X for a double jump, or like for a super tall jump and then the
Yeah.
double jump, that it's like the first time I went through that first area was like an 8 out of 10. When I went through on New Game Plus, it was like a 12 out of 10 because I
Oh,
could
hell yeah, I
really
bet it-
like I
Interesting.
could go, because especially that first area with the sand being very ocean like, there
Yeah.
are the waves, and if you build up the speed and do tricks to like, because there's not the things there aren't the lampposts that give you boost easily, but you can get a boost if you do tricks. But you just can't do tricks at the very, very beginning of the game. And so doing that in New Game Plus and getting the boost, oh, it feels so fucking good.
Ooh.
Now, it's the kind of
Okay.
thing where it's like, oh, well, that sucks that you have to beat the game first. But I do think the story that they're telling needs you to not have momentum at the beginning, is my take on it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting as someone who hasn't beat it. I will say that I was bullied into using a controller. I'll be honest, I was bullied.
Good.
But I think I think I talked about this. I don't know if it was on Drop and Drop Out or if it was on JK Games, but I did talk about how I am very much keyboard and mouse pilled at this point in my life. I pretty much exclusively use keyboard and mouse on like all things, but very much so I heard Jericho's feedback and really the whole world about like this is a controller game. One thing I am disappointed in is that, and I didn't realize that if you are playing it on Steam and using a controller, you don't get the haptic feedback from the controller on
Jordan
Steam.
said we did. Cog. He
Really?
corrected
There's a
me.
way
We
you
can.
can. Noah
Okay.
outlined it
Some
in the
kind of
Discord.
math.
Okay,
And
so I
math,
need to
I
go
mean
and find that. I
Noah.
must have missed that.
Yeah.
Noah!
Take some kind of program.
Because as of right now, I don't. So I would love to, since I'm not quite done with the game, I would love to experience the rest of it with that in mind.
Yeah, don't play it at all until you get that turned on.
Okay.
You need that
Gotcha.
vibration turned on, Kayla. Turn it
Okay.
on.
Good to know.
Good dual
Yeah.
Kayla,
sense.
how is your, not to make this like a troubleshooting podcast, but how is your DualSense plugged in to your computer?
It's
Is it
not.
with the USB-C cord? That's the problem.
Bluetooth.
For it
It
to
needs to
work,
be
you have to
hardwired?
do, it has to be the wire. It has to be a USB-C wire.
Okay,
I'm pretty
gotcha.
sure.
I'll find
And
a
it should just
converter from
work.
my old USB to USB-C.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Cool.
Don't worry. I'll report back with the actual.
But also bless Noah for the haptics, because I'd heard like Jerica posted a little review on her channel with Cog, and they were talking about the haptics. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I experienced some sort of bug where because I have
Oh.
my speakers off by default on my controller, because especially in 2.0 of my life with my new normal, I'm often playing in bed while Rose is sleeping with headphones on, and so I can't have the control making noise. And I just wasn't getting, there was no vibration happening. But then I turned the speaker on and it all turned on. And it's like, man, I missed out so much in the first couple hours of this game, because the haptics really do. It's the only time I think I've played a PS5 game where the speaker enhances the experience. Every other time
Yeah.
it annoys the shit out of me.
Me too.
Astrobot almost got there for me, but usually
Get
it's annoying.
overstimulated.
Never
Yeah.
played Kingdom
but-
Hearts 3, I see.
I never finished Kingdom Hearts 3. But yeah, especially like when you're going over the shingles and you hear it popping in your speaker.
And
or,
the shade. That's the
it's
sound.
so good. It's so good.
I like that on my
Ooh,
body.
I want that. I want that.
Maybe I put it on my back when that was
I
happening.
gotta
Ooh.
two things. First of all, I have to tell you guys about the best use of the controller speaker ever in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Okay.
Sorry, that's the world we're living in. But also, I have to say, W late from lunch, a first-time chatter saying haptics overrated in general. Incredibly based, incredibly true. L DualSense.
It is.
W.
People need to use it. There's things there that no one's taking advantage of. Like, and it doesn't have to be these, like, to our point here, it could be just great sound effects that just, you need whoever
Sure.
on this team implemented that, they're an expert. Talk to your friends, talk to your other game
Yeah.
developer friends. Tell them how it's done, because I like that satisfaction.
There was one point with the haptics where I had to like retrain my brain real quick, because I'm not sure if it was like a sound or if it was the feel or if it was like the combination of the sound it was making in the game with the feel. But I'm sorry to do this, I'm already doing it. But in the snow level where it really opens up, right? And you start like, you get the boost and you start covering a lot of ground and you're kind of like carving a bit more. They have like that feeling of going over like the snowy sand, and it makes this haptic feedback that was really close to like nails on a chalkboard for me. Like, ooh, if I had made that texture with my actual hand, I would have been like, like, have you guys ever like scraped like stainless steel with like your nail a little bit and you're just like, oh, I just ruined my entire day because of that feeling? It's like, it was a little bit of that feeling starting to come through for me.
I need to try it again, see what I can find, if I can find that moment. Wonder what it is.
Slight spoilers for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, Jesus.
Whoa. Hold up there, buddy.
There's a moment in that game that has like a fake out death of the main character, our precious Sora boy, right?
That doesn't
and
sound
what
like
it does is like,
spoiler to me.
Okay, it's a fake out, but here's what happens. It basically brings you to like the death screen that you would normally get, like the game was going to be over, but instead it doesn't say like game over, try again. He's just kind of like laying there for a second and there's nothing, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And when you press a button, also worth noting, this game doesn't use fucking haptic feedback or have sounds come out of its controller almost fucking at all throughout the entire game.
I don't remember when you were saying this. I was like, I don't remember that being a thing.
You press a button, like you're like, okay, well, what the fuck is going on? You press X and it goes, and his heart beats, and it's so fucking sick. And then you're like, oh, you press it again, heart beats, and then out from the fucking controller comes this like disembodied voice, and it goes, Sora, and it's fucking Goofy yelling at you for like, like you gotta come back, dude.
Through the controller?
Through the controller.
That's
it's so
crazy.
fucking good. It's so fucking good.
Jake,
That does sound like an incredible moment.
For that moment alone, you have sold me on finishing that game, because now I gotta get there and I want to play it with Audrey nearby, and I want that to freak her out so much. I can't wait.
Like,
what?
It fucking will. It's
Shut
so
up.
crazy. It's so
either
good.
we've learned, just don't use it at all, or use it for one specific moment like that.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yes.
dead.
One
Noah
time,
said
the whole
if
game.
E33 did something similar, Jake would call it pretentious and do a 57-minute bit on it.
This fucking game can't deign to use haptic feedback the
wrong.
entire time. Then all of a sudden, in the last act, it pulls it out.
I
like
do
some
think
novel
to-
trick.
to defend Jake a little bit, I think if it was still the voice of Goofy that screams in Expedition 33.
Yeah, I often say that if like Donald was a party member in Expedition 33, it would probably be my game of the year still, and I would finish it.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
That's the big difference. Or
Amazing.
I guess if like my party wasn't wearing pants like Donald's.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know?
Actually, I have a question about the game. We can save that for spoilers. Even it's not super spoilery, but we should get to the journey conversation.
yeah.
I agree. Well, I want to start at the beginning and ask if anyone's ever played a little game called Electroplankton, and I know High Score Weekly has, but that reminds me. I can't think of Flow without thinking of Electroplankton, and I know not many of you guys tried Flow, and it is very much like a tech demo of a game, but I fucking love that little video game. Where are you guys at on Flow?
I haven't touched that game
ahead,
in
Sarah.
years, obviously, because I'm like, what is this? Am I a cell? Am I growing? What am I doing here? And I'm like, this is cool. I like how the controller is controlling this thing. That's neat.
Yes.
That's all I remember.
It was novel. It was for its time.
Did
was
it have
definitely
an
a tech
ending?
demo. No,
Is
I
there
don't
a
think
story that I didn't read between the lines well with that, or is it just a
No.
tech demo?
It's been a dozen years for me. I probably can't tell you.
I'm surprised. I'm curious if it did have it, you would know, and I'd been like, wow, I missed out on a.
Flower has a destination. That's something, right?
I will say, though I have no opinions on Flow, the chat is absolutely going haywire for electroplankton mentions.
Electroplankton.
Time.
Very good shit. Electroplankton in 2025 is crazy, but I am the chosen gamer who Electroplankton, from my understanding, it was a Japanese only game for Nintendo DS, and it was like a series of like rhythm games kind of, or music making creation games. Very weird video game
That's
to try to
cool.
describe. But in the US, it was only available as a My Nintendo point reward. So it was like it was a first party Nintendo game that had a fucking case in the whole 9 yards. And I'm pretty sure the only way to get it was to cash in My Nintendo points. Am I wrong? Am I thinking of a different game? But I'm pretty sure you could only mail
It
away to
doesn't-
get that thing directly from fucking Nintendo.
This B-roll is very helpful for me to understand. Thank you, P Swishy. B-roll.
Yeah. Very good stuff. That's
I like this.
Electroplankton.
This looks interesting.
Yes,
Oh.
exactly. I have it. High Score Weekly confirms. That's my Nintendo confidant right over there.
Who made
Never
this
misdirect
game?
me.
Do you know? I can look it up.
Oh no, it's first party Nintendo. It's somewhere. It's someone
Really?
behind. Yeah, like EAD probably. But at
Oh,
that
wow.
point, but yeah, it's been a while. Flower. Let's talk about. We'll go sequential release, I suppose. Here, let's talk about Journey. Let's talk about what I think is. Does anyone out of all the games that we're talking about here, Flower, Journey, Sky, Abzu, Pathless, Sword of the Sea, is Journey everybody's favorite that's completed? I guess my question is more for P-Swag and for Jerica here.
I think for what it accomplished at its time, yeah, because like that's just a staple. Like it.
Yeah.
And to Patrick's point earlier, like that might not have done as well. It wouldn't have done as well if it came out anytime recently. But for its time, like yeah, it holds a special. I was bringing that up to my girlfriend, who's also a big gamer, plays all the PlayStation games with me, but she's actually never played Journey. So I'm just like, all right, we got to fix that ASAP. So I'll revisit it when she plays. But yeah, it's a cool journey. No pun intended there either. But you know, and I feel like at the time, was it advertised that other people would join? And it's okay if you don't have the answer, because I remember that being a surprise for me.
Yeah.
So that's part of the. Since it wasn't, like that's also why it was such a cool game and holds a special place in my heart. It's neat.
One of the coolest gaming moments of all time for me is when the credits hit and it says players that you met along the way, and I was like,
yeah,
those were real.
So cool.
Was
like,
so fucking cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it is like an absolute spectacle when it comes down to like giving an idea of, it's not really nonverbal communication, because you can kind of communicate with each other. You're able to move, you're able to jump, and you're able to give like that little pulse. And I remember thinking I had like an NPC partner, but then I also remember like smashing that button, being like, doo, 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 and then someone being like, doo, 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 doo. And and I was like, wait a second, are you a fucking human? So I started doing little twirls and shit like that and jumping, and then we were both doing our little chirps at the same time, and realizing that was so fucking sick. Oh man, Journey is a classic.
High School Weekly said
it-
Strand type game. That's
Yeah,
funny.
first
A
Strand
little bit.
type game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I
So
had
you
my
Strand types or Journey
inklings.
links.
I had my inklings in the middle of it that it was a human, but I wasn't positive. And then it was like the confirmation. But I don't, even though I'm loving Sword of the Sea and I'm about to finish it for a second time, I think it won't go above Journey for me on the list. I'll
Well, I can imagine that's like very much like a unique thing for the time, especially like since it, because like for me, like playing it now, I don't feel like it's quite the same as like I would imagine playing it 12 is, because like, I mean, multiplayer online gaming, like fairly, I mean, new is not maybe the right word, but like early adopting, like kind of like this experience together. So I imagine like a game that uses that in such a unique way is like very like, whoa, like monumental.
Yeah, no one expected it.
Yeah.
Like, in this kind of game. So
For sure.
Yeah. And
Your
an
point.
indie like game like this. I will say really though, for me, like again, playing this like so recent, like to Sword of the Sea, you can definitely see the improvements they have made. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is the exact same developer, right? Is that correct? I know we've had there's some
So
things
we
that have
can have that
Technically, no.
conversation
Okay,
right now.
yeah.
Let's just knock that out right now and explain, because Kayla doesn't know, and that's a great way to like just encompass this. So that game company was founded. They put out 3 games in a row, and they were Flow, Flower, and Journey. And you can definitely see the progression of Flow being mostly like a tech demo, Flower kind of taking that idea and iterating on it and creating a game that was a lot more, I guess, like linear, that had like an objective, but still just them messing around with like making pretty things, I would say, is like the proof of concept that we really get from Flower. Although Flow is a good looking game, Flower is probably one of the best looking games on PlayStation 3 along with Journey, like in what it's trying to do in its art style, much like Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild being the prettiest games on the Switch. It's not almost about how it utilizes its graphics engine, it's how it's why you hire an art designer and pay them more than a graphic designer. I think, it's literally, it's like making the vision of that game is just very beautiful. And then they go on and they make Journey, and then behind the scenes there's I think some deliberation on where the studio goes next. And I think there's some artistic integrity found in the people that leave and create Giant Squid that is perhaps not found in those that stay at that game company, who are very interested in going in the direction of creating Sky. And Sky ends up being a bit of a spiritual successor to Journey in a lot of ways as well. We can kind of talk about that here as well. That is a free-to-play iOS-based, although it's available on consoles now, MMO that, as you can imagine, is free to play, but not free to enjoy. It is it definitely wants a couple of your bucks, and I think there's a dedicated fan base. I always knock on Sky because it's one of those games that the people that are in the little game echo chamber that we all live in here, being as in tune with video game companies and news as we are, doesn't often represent like the general populace's opinion. And that game is incredibly successful. It's been out for 4 or 5 years now. It is still extremely supported. It has millions and millions of players and has made millions and millions of dollars, while that game company still works on what is quote unquote their most ambitious project yet, which we don't know what it is. I'm assuming we'll probably find out what that game is in the next year or so. It's about time for them to show us what they've been working on. I'm interested to see as well. But I think some of the key creators that were behind Journey in particular, like I know the composer Austin Wintory is probably the biggest like household name, I think.
Yeah.
Like pretty much like the artistic folks, the vision, the people that had the vision for the game.
Creative directors,
I forgot who. I don't remember it like exactly.
They went on to create Giant Squid, which is really, really cool, and obviously a company that, if you look and you try to trace the lineage of Journey, you can see where things like are picked up from, where they have the emphasis on like creativity and art design. It all stays with that team that goes on to make Abzu and makes the Pathless, and then of course makes Sword of the Sea today. So pretty cool stuff. Journey I wanted to tell you guys just really quick story about. I love the Journey multiplayer stuff, but I revisit Journey like every 2 years or so. I revisit it again after playing it. I played it in 2023, and then I played it again, in 2025. So that all makes sense. I was playing Journey just 2 weeks ago, and I found myself playing, with another person, and I was like, I was streaming, and I was, you know, feeling good, if you will. And I was having my times, and you guys have been to a Jake Twitch and stream before. Sometimes I like to fucking yap. Sometimes we go on a little tangent and we find something else to talk about. And next thing I know, I got this other guy who looks like me, and he's trying to drag me along, and he's all the way up there doing his thing. And we get to a part in Journey where we're both like moving forward at a slow pace, and I take my finger off of the thing, and I'm like, oh, fucking this guy. So I'm like, I don't want to play with anyone right now. But this game just assumes that you're connected to the internet. There's no real like option to not be online in that game. If you're connected online, then they just push you into a game. It's supposed to be kind of a nice surprise. So I had to go into my system settings. But for some unsuspecting person, the experience that they had was play a level of Journey with this person. Level 2 starts. We take like 15 steps together. He takes like 15 steps without me, turns around, looks at me. I stop, I sit, I go still for 30 seconds, and then cease to exist because I went and I took my PlayStation offline. I didn't think about it, but chat was like, the other person's POV right now is super fucked up what just happened to them.
They're probably like so fucking annoyed. Like, I just want the trophy where you have to play the majority of the game with the same player, and they keep quitting on me.
I was like, this is my journey, not ours.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
Very, very good. What else about Journey? Anything? I don't want to do that conversation a disservice there. I feel like Journey is a bit of an indie darling. I think is the one thing that we should really touch on here, more so than Abzu, way more than the Pathless, more than Flow or Flower or Sky would ever hope to be. And I think probably not based on like reception, but just based on like its cultural impact at the time, I can already tell that Sword of the Sea isn't reaching the height of Journey. And I think a lot of that comes from Journey having that kind of like second party push as like a first party game, I guess, from PlayStation back in the day. Was it I think Kayla was making the point earlier about playing this game kind of like out of time. If you played Journey in 2012, it was a wholly new experience. It was a time where indie games were really coming into their own, and especially really pretty ones that were like, oh shit, this is graphically impressive. Whereas typically it was like indie games were pixel based fucking twin stick shooters and shit like that. Journey set itself apart, and I don't know if Sword of the Sea will recapture it. And I think Journey's cultural impact on like what indie games can be to the common person. I mean, I don't know, what are the metrics of like the highest selling or well regarded indie games of all time? Journey's got to be in the fucking mix there, right?
Let's see.
There's
Stardew,
gotchas
obviously.
in there of like there's Stardew, there's Minecraft, there's like these games that are different.
Hollow Knight, dude.
Well, that, but like I feel like
Stardew Valley.
I feel like up until 2012, no video game had this level in it. The descent of Journey, when you're going down and it turns sideways, you're getting the sunset, and I feel like this is a moment that they have been trying to capture again, and I think Sword of the Sea is the first time that they've been able to do that, because like half of the game is the descent. But I think, I mean, this was the game that made it to where downloadable games could be nominated for Game of the Year. So like that alone, I think, is the thesis for why Journey is so important in terms of indie games. But I don't know that it would be that big of a selling point in terms of like sales numbers, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, would you believe that Journey sold over 6 million copies? And it's pretty close to number one, Minecraft, with 350 million copies. So I think I was spot on here.
Would it be with PlayStation supporting, and like I feel like PlayStation was putting that game in my face at the time, and I could be wrong. Like
that's a good point.
Long ago. So yeah,
that's fair.
I don't know if it's just one of those things that PlayStation folks were like just eating. And for the PlayStation 3 era, that's still like, maybe because there wasn't nothing else to play. I don't know. I PlayStation 3 times Because that came out during it was PS4. My bad.
Journey was PS3.
Journey was PS4. Shit. Okay.
Because it was the same year as The Walking Dead, and so there was this.
No,
like,
Journey was PlayStation.
Walking
PlayStation
Dead
3
Yeah.
launch.
Telltale.
and so there was
Shit,
this
for
like
real?
all
That
of a
was
sudden,
launch?
like indie games, the best that they could be was like fun little experiences, and then all of a sudden we get in two very different ways these like gripping, heartbreaking stories, one being very direct and linear and like telling a story with dialogue, the other like being the vibes, and you know, it tells a story, like it very clearly tells a story in Journey, and it's a very interesting one about like death and reincarnation and the afterlife and that kind of thing. And then it was like out of nowhere, typically the conversation is like, is it going to be Dragon Age or BioShock as game of the year? And now all of a sudden it's this game that runs at like 10 frames a second, but the story is so good, The Walking Dead, or Journey, like maybe the prettiest game that's ever existed until that point. So yeah, it was a bit of a bit of a titan battle at the time.
I just have
For
a
sure.
horrible memory, but and you've said when it came out anyways, but just still like to this point, like the games I'm thinking about when I had my PS3, like I didn't think about this. It just doesn't seem like it matches, but that's to sort of speak to like how timeless this game is, because I feel like it came out on the PS4 for some reason, even though we just said the date multiple times. 2006, 2007?
2012.
8.
Journey
That's
was
not a
2012.
PS3 launch title then.
Not a launch title, but it was on the PS3.
No, it launched. I'm sorry.
Sorry,
It
I heard
launched
you said
on
PS3
PlayStation
launch
3.
title, and I thought,
Yeah,
whoa.
my bad.
Sorry, yeah, no, this
say
was
that one more
just
time.
it launched on PS3.
Just don't tell me any dates ever again, because I can't keep up. And it's not any of your faults. I just don't know what today is.
Flower might
Dan,
have
that-
launched on the PS3 because that was 2006.
It didn't launch on there. I looked at the
Flow
list. I
Flow
was
came
like,
first. It
wow.
was on PS3.
Oh, right. Duh. Never mind.
Okay. Regardless, still timeless. You can play it
Yeah.
now. Even Flower, to the point, like it still looks great. And I think
Yeah.
stylized in a way that timeless. So,
I
anywho, didn't mean to take us off the
No,
path
that's
there.
fine.
Let's
I
get
want
back on the
to-
What
journey.
year is it? What
I want to
year
dig
is it?
into Abzu, which I think is like a really interesting first piece of work from a company that's trying to break off on their own and be so similar to what it did before. Now, it sounds like you guys as a whole are not that hot on Abzu, whereas like if I'm calling Journey a 10 out of 10, I'm giving Abzu like a 9.5. Like I think that game is fucking awesome outside of some somewhat janky controls underwater that just come with the territory of controlling a character in third person underwater, where like at no point does it feel perfect which way I'm pointing the stick. You know what I mean? I'm like, I want to go down. I'm like, wait, I go up or down? I have to give it a little wiggle and figure that out
I
every
don't
single
feel
time.
that way. Like and that's not the reason why I'm not as high on it. I don't think I like got pulled into it. Like it's having for me a really slow start, and it was just something I'm sort of not bored, but maybe I am bored. I'm like, I need a little bit more to do, but maybe I just haven't went through enough. But I actually think the mechanics and how that feels to swim is really cool. But I play a lot of flying games, and I like when the
Yeah.
pitch in the pool is sort of handled like that. I don't know, it's weird, but I actually really like how that game controls. Like with
Yeah.
that was one of the things I was having the most fun with. It felt sort of realistically diving. So
For sure.
I think I haven't played Abzu, but I do think I'm spoiled on underwater traversal for Dave the Diver. Personally, I think that's one of the most well done underwater traversal of any game that has water mechanics. So
Hell
I'd like
yeah.
to see if this lives up to it.
I think Patrick's
no.
muted.
Sorry. I felt like for me, this was part of it for so many years, Jake. I always chalked it up to it was just unfair expectations because I wanted this to be the next Journey and it wasn't. But then last night I finished Sword of the Sea and I boot up Abzu because like, you know what? I've not played it since launch. Let me, I watched you stream some of it. Let me give it a shot again. I got about 40 minutes in and like Jarek said, it just didn't grab me again. And I think
Wow.
part of it is of all of the games that I've played, which is everything but Sky, I think this game lacks direction the most. Other than maybe the Pathless. I feel like the Pathless is tough, and I didn't finish the Pathless, so I can't speak too much on that one. But I feel like with this one, there just wasn't a super clear where, like, I mean, like, Journey is very ethereal, and like you're going down a path, you're trying to get to this mountain, it's very clear in that aspect, but a lot of it is still like up to interpretation. Whereas there was just something about this game for me that just like I never was interested in figuring out what the story they were trying to tell was. And I think part of it was how much they're trying to do at the same time with like these little robot guys, and they're doing the same thing of like, you compare it to Journey, like what we just saw in the B-roll. It's hieroglyphs on a wall, which sure, sort of the sea does too. But I think it was that kind of thing. There's just everything, like Noah was saying, Jake giving a 9.5 to a solid 7 must be a Thursday. I feel like it's the kind of thing where there's just none of it for me gets past a 7. And so there just doesn't have that staying power that something like a Journey, or I think a Sword of the Sea will.
I think if
A
it
7
has,
is so fucking harsh. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Jerica.
I think if it would have had some a little bit, just like, what is the different type of gameplay that you're going to introduce to players that maybe right on the skirts of Journey, like what is something new that you could do? And to the point, like I said, they don't need to do anything new, but they're making a game. So like, what do you do to make that fun? And swimming underwater is cool up until a certain point when that's all you're doing in a really vague story that I don't really know what am I doing? Why am I important in this game? Why waking up these I'm putting something out of I just remember like taking something out of me and putting it in this thing and it's glowing, which there's a lot of that in Sword of the Sea too, a lot of magic things, and I don't know exactly what's happening, but I really felt lost from the get-go in Abzu versus Sword of the Sea. I sort of see my mission and like my objective a little sooner.
Well, there's just so many little things, right? Like all of a sudden, like I guess you're a robot, and like there's just things that it's like I
Whoa,
feel like
I
they
got
just
that part.
they bit off a little more than they could chew. I think with Abzu, the music's great, the aesthetic is great, but there's just like there's something there. It's more of a proof of concept for me that we don't really see hit until Sword of the Sea with Giant Squid.
I don't know what happened. Okay, maybe let me explain my circumstance of how I experienced Abzu for the first time. I don't think I knew Abzu like existed for a long time. I don't know how it escaped me. I don't know if it just came out at like the perfect time that it didn't, but I didn't play Abzu for the first time until directly after my 2023 playthrough of Journey. And that was my first time even fucking touching it. And I went in there just looking for more Journey vibes, and I got that in spades. And I'm a sucker for the color blue. Like pretty much like Leonardo is my favorite fucking Ninja Turtle, the Blue Ranger's my favorite Power Ranger. I like Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. A very simple man. And in Abzu, that carries me a decent amount of the way, but I found myself maybe more intrigued with like the story. Journey has like a story that is very like vibes based. It's I don't know if it's like a realistic. It's like a human journey, if you will. Whereas I think it was interesting starting off as like, it's not a secret. If you actually look at that character, you can tell that Abzu, you're playing as a robot diver from the get go, and you have a little robot companion. And I was fascinated by it, and it had a lot more mystery for me. And I really think that there is something to that game that is really special. And I would urge you guys, I know no one here has beat it. Is that right?
I beat it back in the day. Yeah, I did finish it.
Okay.
You beat
I
it?
haven't.
I don't remember much of it though. If I were to finish it today, it'd be like beating it the first time.
No spoilers for any of Sword of the Sea, but spoilers for like, I don't know, halfway through the game in Abzu. One of the coolest memories that I have of that game, that I have as a memory from any Giant Squid or Thatgamecompany game, was the most simple fucking concept in the world, and I loved it so much, and it still sticks with me to this day. Is what I think of when I think of Abzu. Is you play through that game and you're underwater and you're going through some different biomes and getting some different stuff, and you can swim or you can swim with a fish, and you're sort of like missing a little bit of like the gameplay aspect. Like, what can you do in Journey? You basically just tilt your fucking guy around and jump. And what do you do in Abzu? You basically just tilt your fucking guy around and swim. But that's just a different form of tilting your guy around. The thing that didn't click for me for a really long time with Abzu was there was like a piece missing, and the whole game is taking place underwater until I get to this point where I'm like, where the fuck do I go? I'm in this goddamn like little puddle of an area that I just got dropped into, and I can't even like fathom what the next goddamn step is. And the next step is to take a step. At one point in that game, you have to get out of the water, and it was so novel to me where I was like, that didn't even cross my fucking mind as an option to actually just like take this thing that has legs and arms and looks like a, you know, land creature and just get out of the water. And I love what that fucking added to the story and added to the mystery, where you get this little robot out of the water and he can walk around and shit, but he's bad at it. He's much more accustomed to swimming and much more capable in the water, and it's such a cool layer to it. And it more on this game when we get to the spoiler section of Sword of the Sea.
Big connection,
but
big connective tissue.
I really fuck with Abzu. So you guys have all broken my heart. Let's move
I guess
on to
final thought on Abzu. And I don't mean to just like shit on Giant Squid, because this was their first game. I feel like they really thought they ate with Abzu, and I felt that as the player of like, they were like, this is their first game. Eat your heart out, Journey. This is Giant Squid. I felt like that was what I got from them, and I just didn't agree. It felt like they were trying a bit hard. But I feel like they get there with Sword of the Sea for me, where I'm like, oh, this goes like, I think it's Journey ekes it out a little bit, but it's the first time where it's like, oh, you guys finally got to that transcendence with Sword of the Sea, personally. But
I get
the Pathless.
for sure. The Pathless. This is a weird game to me. So I played the Pathless for the first time, like I said, for about an hour 3 days ago, just because I wanted to make sure that I had a good idea of the full scope and the full history of that game company in Giant Squid. I wanted to have a frame of reference for this. And the Pathless is very easily my least favorite of all of the games that we're going to talk about here. I feel like somewhere along the lines they lost their way a little bit, and for games like Abzu and Journey to be the predecessor to what the Pathless becomes is so surprising to me. And a lot of it is just from the get-go. There is so much cutscene, there is so much reading, there is so much gameplay, and there is so much. It is like the antithesis of everything they were doing. In some ways, you can see the natural progression of like, oh, they made this game and now they made this game, and there is those like good vibes and kind of tight controls, and things feel nice and look pretty in the world. But then in a lot of ways, it does things that are so much different. Where are you guys at on the Pathless?
Haven't played
I
it.
feel like there is a no clip style documentary about Giant Squid in 10 years when they're like the number one developer in the world. And there's like a 10-minute section where it's like where everything almost went wrong, and it's all about the Pathless. Like I totally agree. I think everything that made Journey, and you know, even though I don't love Abzu and then now Sword of the Sea work, the Pathless does like none of them. It tries to tell a really robust story. Like you look at the synopsis online and it's like paragraph after paragraph after paragraph, and it's just so boring. Like the story they're trying to tell is just not interesting at all. And like this company that they have always put their kind of hat on the peg of movement feels like shit in this game, because it's always slowing you down, because it only works when there's something that you can interact with your bow. And it's just like there's so many things like that where it's like I just feel like they missed the point, and something must have happened in development for them to have taken such a left turn with the Pathless. But I don't know what that is.
It seems like, and this is something that I wanted to talk about earlier, but I wanted to wait till we get to the Pathless conversation, where somebody's criticism was length of Sword of the Sea. And I'm so happy that we reined it back in. And that's because I've seen what happens when they take the fucking hinges off and they say, let's make a big game. And it gets scary out there, man.
It's
like,
this long? Is it long?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
the
Like,
longest,
I think it's like 8 hours or so.
Oh,
probably,
okay.
or 6,
Not
or
long,
at least
like
6
long
or
for them.
7.
I'm asking for. By the way, I'm the one that said it. I think it just needed to be like an hour more here.
That would
just an
probably be
hour.
reasonable.
But I'm not saying I don't want another extra long game. But like, yeah, 8 hours would have been way too long for this.
Yeah, that YouTube video I have pulled up that as a full playthrough is like 420, but those playthroughs are always like 3 hours shorter than the average playthrough.
Pretty concise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
The thing with that game is that it does a very similar thing to like a Breath of the Wild or similar gaming tropes where it's like, hey, we want you to go do a thing. And it's like, we're going to have you go to these 3 fucking pillars. And to get these pillars activated, you're going to have to do 3 different fucking things and bring these things to these pillars. And then you're going to fight a boss. And then they dump you after you've completed that into the world. And they're like, now do that 3 more times. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that LSS shit again. Like,
Yeah.
I would rather do something different 1 more time. That sounds
That's
fun to
valid,
me.
I think.
Yeah.
I
And
also
to P-Swag's point, go.
I was going to say, I also think the Pathless is like by far a huge gap of like this. That is the ugliest game that they've ever put their hands on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It also lacks variety. And again, I'm going off of the first hour of this game, but from what I understand, I'm sure it does go places and there are some bursts of color. Like the game is mostly greenish black, I feel like, right? Like would you say what that's
Yeah,
the
it's like a
aesthetic?
dark.
And then
Well,
sometimes it
there's
turns
no
like
sun,
super red.
It seems, and it's green, so it's dark.
Right. Sure.
Not Jake's favorite color, confirmed.
Right. If it was blue, like Abzu, then it would be a 9.5. Well, everyone thinks it's a 7.
What color is Sword of the Sea? Is it teal? Is that the
Excellent
vibe?
question. It's mostly teal.
But yeah,
Okay.
there's like
It's a
teal,
teal,
light
like-
blue, and you know, like a brown, like sand, but like a pretty brown.
That's true.
exactly-
Yeah.
I would argue that the most predominant color in Sword of the Sea is blue.
It's still
Yeah.
blue,
And then Journey is like red, I guess.
red. Yeah.
Orange,
Okay.
orange.
That's interesting. They think
Sure.
of the color theory there. Anyways,
Yeah.
not to tangent off.
Listen, there is more on the spoiler section side of things, but like there is very much like a fucking earth, wind, fire, fucking water type elemental thing going on with these games where you could very easily say like Journey is like a earth tone game and Abzu is like a water pilled video game and Pathless is like a grass or leaf type of biome type situation where everything kind of represents something in it. I don't know where exactly I would land on Sword of the Sea, but when you look at Sword of the Sea, I think that the colors change a lot, but the blue is the one that's carried through for everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Even as it
I
comes from
would
the time and
love
shit like that.
to be a part of the Avatar: The Last Airbender podcast. Do
Whoa.
that
Oh my God.
because
I just pre-ordered some
watched it.
Avatar: The Last Airbender magic cards despite not having watched it. That's not true. I watched a couple
Neither
episodes.
one of you have watched it? Jerk, have you watched
Papa.
For real? Whoa! Missing out.
That's
One of the best stories of all
crazy.
time.
Yeah,
Anime
no,
Oh my
series. Like it's
God.
up there.
I've just been too busy having sex, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
No,
right,
I-
right. Making
Brother,
No,
I
I'm kidding.
was
No,
like
Pretty
10
sure
years old when this came out, brother.
you can probably
Hey.
have it playing at the same time. I mean,
That's true. That's true. No, I at one point tried to watch it, and I was like, I would like this, I'm sure. But then I had sex instead. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do. I will. I will watch it at some point. I just haven't yet.
Yeah. Same.
Incredible.
I was just having this conversation about Outer Worlds, how Outer Worlds 2 is coming out. And I was like, oh, I got to play Outer Worlds before Outer Worlds 2. And I've been saying I got to play Outer Worlds for like 5 years. And maybe if it took me 5 fucking years to get to Outer Worlds, I just don't want to play it that bad.
Yeah.
So I think I'm out on Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in the same
like,
boat.
I'm like, oh yeah, wait, I don't give a fuck about this.
Jerker, you played the first one, I thought. I thought you played Outer Worlds.
I did. It just
You
wasn't
did?
that great, in my opinion.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
got
not
it,
very
got
good.
it.
I got real
I'm
bored
excited
and
for
I
2,
was
though.
like,
Yeah.
I'll see. That would be one I'll be waiting for reviews to see what people say. Because like that first
Game
one
Pass
was
does make it appealing. Like I do want to
It
just hop in
does.
and have an opinion because I can and save $70 on doing so.
yeah.
But fuck. Yeah, it's especially no one brings up a good point. Like I love Avowed so much. That's my 4th favorite fucking game of the year. Same studio, honestly, like the same recipe for success. Light version of established Bethesda property. But I don't know. Not my jam.
Incredible.
The Pathless. Walk, don't run to try the Pathless. I would
Walk
say.
away.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. There's something that rubbed me the wrong way about the Pathless. I guess let me just double down real quick and just explain the things that I saw that I found very annoying in the Pathless that I didn't see anywhere. I'm just so surprised at how far in the other direction they went, where it's crazy to have 2 games with 0 dialogue and then have a game that opens with so much dialogue, recorded dialogue and voiced characters.
Oh, that's
And then
weird.
in addition to that, immediately be like, here's your collectibles. Each one of them has 4 pages of text about the world and the lore of the fucking world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
Interesting.
I'm
Yeah,
not,
that's
I'm
what
not
I mean.
reading
Like,
any of that.
there's just
It's
so
very
much to
different.
that game that doesn't make sense when you look at their other bodies of work. That like something happened and someone high up tried to put a square peg in a round hole, and I'm just so thankful that it didn't tank the studio, honestly, because it was a PS4 launch game. It was, I think, the most not celebrated PS4 launch game. No one really, I mean PS5, excuse me. No, PS4.
Mhm.
No one seemed to care about it. And yeah, I'm very relieved that it didn't. Or was it a PS5 launch game?
I have no fucking idea.
I think it's a PS5 launch game. Fuck, now I'm confused.
Might
I'm
be.
gonna go look it up. I'm gonna do my job.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised at what that game is. And then I'm also surprised at what that game isn't. It's a very interesting one, and I'm excited to talk more about it in the
PS5 launch date.
section of
Sorry.
this. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Interesting. That would have been a nice one. I wish I knew that at that time. I probably would have given it more time. I don't know why I
tried.
avoided the Pathless and Abzu.
There was like nothing to play at the launch of the PS5, and I still couldn't finish the pass.
I was playing fucking Assassin's Creed Valhalla, dude. I'd rather
Sure.
fucking Ezio Auditore myself than fucking play that game, you know? I fucking can't. Listen, that's a podcast.
Woo!
I am so glad to have this conversation, and I'm glad that we did it the way that when we were talking about a little inside baseball here, when we were talking about what podcasts to do, we have these meetings every single week where we kind of look into the future, and it's like, oh, it's so easy to just be like, oh, we'll have a review conversation for this, you know, Sword of the Sea. Okay, great. Everyone's doing that this week. We're gonna have so many Sword of the Sea fucking reviews. Let's go a little bit deeper and let's talk about all of the games that came before it, which I think was the right thing to do. So I appreciate everybody joining me. You absolute legends. If you're a podcast listener or a subscriber to our YouTube page, go find us somewhere else and make sure that you find the second, I wouldn't call it the second half, but the accompanying piece to this, which is our full Sword of the Sea / That Game Company / slash Giant Squid spoilercast, I guess. We'll get a name for it. You'll know what you're looking for. Just look at the thumbnail. It's the one that has more Sword of the Sea stuff on it. It's gonna be very, very good stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, if
Jerica,
you're in the
Kayla,
live chat and you're gonna stay around for spoilers, we're gonna stop the podcast, quote unquote, and then go do spoilers. So don't leave.
Yeah, don't leave. Jerica, Kayla, Peachwag, thank you guys so much for joining me. Of course, if you're looking for more drop in, drop out, or some JK games, or some Spotlight games, or some Jake Twitchin', we got a one-stop shop for everything that you might need. Just go to dropindropoutpod.com. We make those pitches so easy. Now we're all gonna wave and smile at the camera, and the outro will play.